Hey there, Matthew Baker here. And so what I'm going to share with you is the 6 steps to rid yourself of intrusive thoughts. So of course, when you're depressed or anxious, it's common to have a lot of intrusive thoughts. If you're anxious about something you can't control, you may be trying to constantly figure out how to figure this out, even when you're trying to focus on something completely different or the threat isn't even there. If you're depressed, you may, for example, have low self-esteem, be calling yourself a loser in your head constantly when you're trying to work or you're at a family outing and you're second guessing yourself and you don't really have much control over it. So what these steps are going to do is try to give you control back over your thoughts and to learn how to silence them so they don't have as much of an impact on you. So let's get into it. So the first step to do is to take some deep breaths. This is really important, just to take some deep breaths, give yourself some space, just allow yourself to think and to give some control back to you, because if you're constantly fully focused on these intrusive thoughts and you don't have any break at all, then you're just going to feed them more and more and more. So just take some deep breaths and bring awareness to the breath. So in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just do this about 5 to 10 times, and it should just relax you a little bit more, allow you to decompress a little bit, and just give a little bit more space so you can look at things from a more objective, a little bit more of a further back angle as opposed to being fully involved in it. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to identify the thoughts which you're actually having. So you may know what they are in your minds, but it's important to actually write them out on a sheet of paper to externalize them. Sometimes if you just even have the thoughts written out on a piece of paper, you can just bring awareness to certain things which you may not be aware of. And it's really good because, of course, if it's all in your minds, then it can get a little bit cluttered. You may not be able to see things that clearly, but if it's on a sheet of paper, it'll just bring a little bit more clarity to what's going on, and you'll know exactly what is causing the most pain. So write out the thoughts and maybe even highlight 1 or 2 which is really causing you the most pain, the one you'd most like to get rid of. Step 3 is to understand why they are there. This is really important as well, because if you know why they're there, then you can have more control of them. If you, for example, have the thought that I'm a loser and you have no idea why it's there, you may fully believe that this is the ultimate reality and you fully identify with that thought and believe you are a loser. Let's contrast this, however, to if you actually know why that thought is there. So if you know that you were bullied in school and, for example, the worst bully was calling you a loser all the time, and this has just become a thought that you've identified with because it caused you a lot of pain, how much more control would you have over that thought if it surfaces and it's intrusive in your mind? You just think, no, this is actually a product of this bullying in the past. I still have some pain attached to it, but I'm going to learn to let go of it because it was just a situational event. There's a lot of other people in my life who do not call me a loser and think I'm a good person. I do these good things in general, so I'm not going to fully identify with that thought. So that's why it's really important to understand why the thought is actually there. So do a bit of soul searching, understand where the thought actually originates from, why it's still about there, what pain you have attached to it, and this will really help you have more control over it. So that's step 3. Number 4 is to understand, can you control the situation which you're worried about? So these intrusive thoughts are often attached to something maybe in the past or the future. So if your intrusive thoughts about something, for example, with depression in the past, where you have guilt, shame, or regret or anything like that, you think, can you control it? Is there a purpose to being, or is there a purpose to having these intrusive thoughts? Are they there for a reason? Are they actually serving you in any way? Same goes with the future. If you believe you can control a situation, or you can't control something in the future, if you believe you can't control something in the future, then you're going to be really anxious about it because your brain will constantly be churning, trying to figure out a solution to this, and it'll just override your consciousness and you won't be able to control these thoughts at all because you'll just be panicking trying to find that. So just think, can you control it? Actually problem solve on this sheet of paper beneath the painful thought. Can you actually find a solution to this? Step number 5 is, can you learn anything from the events which these thoughts are attached to? So this specifically goes for something in the past. So if you have a lot of shame attached to this thought, or attached to this event that, let's say you yelled at someone and you shouldn't have and you hurt someone you loved. If you have a lot of pain attached to it, can you learn something from that event? So it may be good to have some awareness of this, where it's like, okay, if you yelled at someone, it's obviously not a nice thing to do. You hurt someone. What can you learn from it? Were you a little bit too worked up? Could you have walked away from the situation, then come back when you're a little bit more down to earth and a little bit more calm and you weren't so angry? Can you learn something from it? So this constructive lens can actually be really helpful to problem solve and figure out a solution, right? So that's step 5. Can you actually learn from the event which is attached to? And step number 6 is, are you ready to let go? Let go of the thoughts, the intrusive thoughts which you're having and the emotion attached to them. So you may think, obviously, of course I'd let go of these intrusive thoughts. I'm watching this video and they're obviously very unpleasant. That's why I'm trying to control them. But are you ready to let go of the emotion attached to them? So for example, if you have the thought, I'm a loser, and you're constantly beating yourself up about it and you feel guilt or shame about something, whatever it is, you may be ready to want to let go of the thoughts, but you're still holding on to the emotions. You may not be letting go of them and allowing to forgive yourself. For example, for something you may have done in the past which you have a bit of regret or shame about. So are you fully ready to let go of those negative emotions which are underlying the intrusive thoughts which you're having? Also, with the steps I just went through, we're in the critical lens where I was talking about what can you learn from it, can you control it, and so on. The critical lens is good, but the final step to this is the accepting lens. Accepting what will be, what has happened, accepting who you are, and so on. Forgiving yourself and all those sort of things. So, are you ready to move forward to this lens and think, hey, I've been in that critical lens. Have you been in there long enough to fully let go of and think, all right, enough's enough. I've done everything I can to try and problem solve this situation. I've learned everything I can. I've got everything in control that I can. I'm ready to surrender to the moment, let go, acknowledge and accept the things that I can't control, and move forward to a more peaceful and more happy lens. Are you ready to let go? So there you have it. Those are the 6 steps to ridding yourself of intrusive thoughts. I really hope you found this video helpful, and I'll be sure to see you in future videos. Thanks for watching.